Okay, you guys, welcome back. Last time we've covered basically a little bit about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I don't want to go into too much detail on those. The reason why is there is a lot of good resources out there, right? If you remember, I showed you that there's Code Academy. Code Academy. So remember this one, we had the free codecamp.org. So both of these, again, if you want to learn some cool stuff, go ahead, go through some of this. And if you looked before, it's not just HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Let's see what else they have. Front-end libraries, data visualization, information security and quality assurance, coding interview prep. That's kind of cool, right? So basically, if you go into a job interview, a lot of times they're going to have you do basically a coding challenge. And here you go. This is some of them. Rosetta Code, Project Euler, algorithms in general. Algorithms are kind of cool to look into. You may want to learn quite a bit about algorithms actually. JavaScript. What did they even have in JavaScript? Basic algorithm scripting. Here's debugging. I would suggest actually going through and doing some of these debugging because the problem with coding, it's not necessarily that it's hard to code, right? It's not too hard to come over here and write something like this. It's not too hard to come over to your JavaScript and write something here. You have for loops, and again, we're not going to cover too much this time into this, but you can create a for loop less than 10, and then do some cool stuff, right? In general, if you remember, we did a little bit about object-oriented programming and as a whole, and the reason why we covered that, some HTML, CSS, and JavaScript basics, is so that we can actually dig deeper into React. So now let's actually start trying to make a website, okay? Typically, what we want to do, let's create a portfolio website. Generally speaking, when you're trying to present yourself out into the world, whether it be as a career as a web developer, whether it's just you want to show yourself, a lot of times the internet is a great resource for this. So let's create a portfolio, right? How do we want to do the portfolio? There's obviously lots of different ways, but we just want to show them this is basically going to be our online resume. So let's go ahead and Google online resume for a web developer. Let's see what we get here. Pascal van Gemert, interactive resume. OPL award. One page love. Interesting. Anyways, so let's go ahead. Looks like we can scroll down or we can click. What does the click do? Okay, cool. One page. Here we go. Here's his profile, the about creative PHP web developer. All around web developer. I am a senior programmer with good knowledge of front-end techniques. likes working in a team, so a little bit about him. Name, age, location. Copied the theme, or do you just like the website? No problem, just buy me a beer and make me happy. Okay, cool. Experiences. Here's his education, where he went to school. He only went there for a couple months. It looks like that was probably an online or some type of coding boot camp that they have out there. Gamification is the application of game elements and digital game design techniques to non-game problems such as business and social impact challenges. Okay, here's his careers. So that was 2014. We can now see, wow, all the way back to 2006 he has on here. Internship, part-time, so we can see all of these, right? Not too worried about what it is. Here's his abilities. He's giving himself 1 through 5 stars on these. So Ruby 1 star, Elasticsearch 2, and as you can even just see from here, there's a lot of different abilities and parts of being a programmer, and this is mostly just, actually it definitely is just web development. Scrum is a methodology, so that applies to all programming. In general, it's just a programming methodology. But Bootstrap, CSS, HTML, JSON, it's not necessarily for just web development, but you use it a lot, especially to get or basically fix CORS issues, I guess you could say, when you don't have the ability to handle the server and access and change things on the server side specifically. We might get into those if we run into them, but we probably won't have any CORS issues for what we're doing. MySQL, that's a query language to get data. We're gonna try and be using a NoSQL language, MongoDB, if you remember, PHP, XML, etc., etc. Languages he actually speaks, again, 5 stars. Survivable German, much better than me. I speak English, that's about it. And some tools, cool. Projects and contact. Now, looking at his page, I don't want to do it this way. I'm not a fan. I don't know, if you want to, you can be a fan of it. I'm not a fan of this scrolling like this. It doesn't feel like one page to me, because as you see, this theme changes here, and then we have different color, different background, different everything, right? From there, we come back and it changes again. So this is like literally, if you look at it, page 1, page 2, here's page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6. And we're not going to get rid of the thoughts of pages, but we're definitely going to change our thoughts on it a little bit. So let's go look at something a little bit different. Let's go interactive resume React. Let's see what he has here. If we click, what does it do? Well, it takes you straight over to the page that he did. Okay. So that's not what we want to look for either. Again, it's just kind of not what we want in this case. It can be okay. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with how they're doing their resumes at all. I just would rather have a different way of doing this. Front-end React, React Native, mobile sites. Let's see what he has. Welcome. Huh. Seems like the exact same thing as the first one, right? Here's a little bit more of what I'd like to see personally. Is something like this. This is more of what I'm looking for in page 1. Okay. Let's see how the rest works. Yeah, it just scrolls us down. And if we go to projects, is this going to link us over? Yeah, it will. And that's okay. They actually have live loaded projects on there, don't they? Sephora, cool. But yeah, again, these are gonna just link straight over to the actual projects that he did since they are posted live. Well, some of us aren't gonna have this, right? So let's keep this way a little bit. And instead of when you click on a project or click on resume, instead of having it scroll us through this site, because, right? I mean, I just feel like you can get lost in here. You're like, okay, where's what? I do like that he's keeping the same theme. White background works in this case, of course, because, you know, each page is showing its own styles and themes on it here. And you don't want to have too much clutter on it, right? You don't want to overwhelm your viewers. So that works for me. Let's see if we can interactive resume and with React. Let's see what we get here. JSON resume. What is this? Get started. See, I want something more like this, right? Seems more navigable. We go to projects. This is actually linking straight over to the GitHub. Skill set, same thing. So let's design this from scratch how we want it to do. There we go. He's had a lot of resume views, that's for sure, though. Or, oh no, this is jsonresume.org, I think. They've hosted 11,000 resumes. Kind of cool. Not too worried about that for our example. So let's go over, and if, again, forgive me, I'm not the best artist and I don't have great creative tools on here. So let's think about this really fast. We have our brush, and this is going to be our main website, right? What we want, let's do a little bit of text. Let's do something over here. And in this text, do we really need a home page? Here's the first question, a home page. Or should we just have our home page be our about page? Well, since this website is all about me or all about you, let's get rid of a home page and just have the home page be the about page. From here, we're going to have different projects. And of course, links. So that's all we really need. Do we want it on the left side? We could center it. We could put it on the right. Can I? Let's go ahead and grab the selector. So with this, we could put it center. We could put it to the right. Let's leave it center for now. I like center. We don't have too much to take up for the top. So we don't need something all the way across the entire top. And to the right, you know, we could have, and I forgot about this one, I'm sorry, contact. So here's the main. Here's our main links. Here's the main parts of our page. And then from here, we also have an option to contact. Obviously, contact is just going to kind of show our information. We might actually want to set it up where they can put an email straight to you from the site. Let's do that in this case, okay? From here, we want to create a main theme. So we want some colors, but we don't want too many colors. Let's see, what color do we want? Okay, we'll do this color. A thick brush, it looks like. Not the greatest, again, remember. So we're going to have this here. We're going to have on top of this, remember, because this is part of our page too. Let's do the bucket. What color goes good with blue? Well, I like green. Let's see how green looks. And that should not have filled in everything as far as I knew this worked. I do not like this green though. Let's go ahead and choose a little bit darker of green. Now, little hint for your CSS and everything else. We have these RGB, red, green, blue, okay? Max you can have on each 255. That's going to be straight white. 0, 0, 0 is straight black. And then every color is made up from a combination of these, right? So as you see, as we scroll up through the lighter colors, we get different amounts of red and green in there with the blue. If we go over to the green, we could even just do this. I'm not, again, the biggest fan of that green. Want a little bit darker of a green. Let's do that one. Let's just get rid of all of that. So anyways, we're going to have something along the lines of here. From here. Here's going to be our about. Oh, we're still in green. All about me. We can list hobbies. We can list education, work, whatever else we need to list here, right? And of course we are going to have some type of picture. Now we can make it circular. It seems like the cool hip thing to do is a circular picture, right? From what we saw on the resumes, if he had a picture on here. But if you go back, I'm pretty sure we did see a few that had pictures on it. Neither of those two, though. Let's see what we get here while we're going about this. What is this? What are the best resume examples? I feel like there should be a link to some of these. Visit now. We won't worry about that. So we'll just keep designing on our own. So again, we have this little picture, circular picture. Here's our about section. If you wanted, you could actually, instead of this picture, you could have the entire background. So everything in here, everything, right? You could have all of this be a background image that has your picture on it. Maybe you playing with your puppy, who knows, just a picture of you. Something that really speaks out. You can do that, or you can just do a typical picture. So let's stick with, I like this way. Let's do it this way. Okay, so here's one. Now let's go ahead, and we don't need to get rid of everything because we're just going to go on to our projects. Notice we want to keep it exactly like we would here. I just, get rid of everything from the about, and then we link to the projects. And here's our projects. I can't think of too much of a better way to go about this other than, project 1, project 2, project 3, roles and responsibilities. And same thing for 3. So that's how we'll basically keep it. Now, what we'll want, and we will make this as we go along, but what will happen is we create a little link here. Now our link's going to be a little bit different, okay? Here's what's going to happen with each of our links. Instead of doing like they did here, where, let's go back to one of these, this one for example, instead of going to his projects, and when we click on it, which this is just a picture, it won't let us click on it. You literally have to just click on this part, which is fine. Instead of clicking on it, and it takes us to a completely different page, right? And then we have to navigate back with this. So we're completely on another. We'd have to actually open link a new tab. We want to show off the abilities of React as best as we can, right? Well, one of the great abilities of React is, and of JavaScript in general, is you don't have to change pages. You don't have to go to another completely, entirely different hosted site. They did this in this case because, of course, this is an entirely different hosted site for a different company. This isn't their resume. This isn't specifically their project. It's something that's been worked on by, it could be just worked on by themselves, but it could be worked on by a lot of people. And as you get to have more projects that are live and worked on for different companies and such, you can do this. Personally, with that, I would suggest, instead of creating it where it opens on the same page, and there is a way to do this, by the way, but have it open automatically in a different link. That way they can still have the resume up. They don't have to worry about closing this and not having the resume anymore, if that makes sense. Okay, so we will do that, but for now we're going to have this link, and when this link gets clicked, we're going to again get rid of, well, let's keep the projects part, because that will be our link back straight to everything. Well, now we'll have it up here, right? That should be easy enough to click on. We have to think about this from a user perspective, right? So we have a couple different options. We could have a little back arrow at the top. Could even have a front arrow to basically scroll through each project, project 1 through project 3 or 5, or however many projects you want to put up on here. I kind of like that way. Let's do it that way. And then from here, inside of here, will actually just be our project. And this will show off everything in here of our cool project, whatever we decide to do for our project, which we will be doing a couple projects in this, because just your resume itself being React is awesome, don't get me wrong, but we want to show that we can do more options with React than just this one thing. Okay, so we'll do different projects in here, a couple mini projects, you could say, because our website itself won't be using any type of query language. We don't need one, but we will need to do a project that does that in order for us to learn the MongoDB. Okay, so that's going to be our basic setup. Now, from here, we need to actually create the project. We need to start developing with React, right? So let's go here. Again, Google's our best friend. Create my very first React project. Let's see what we get. Code burst, blog. Here's a couple different videos. Let's go to reactjs.org, because of course this is theirs. Well, that's not good, isn't it? Here we go. Okay. Tutorial, Intro to React. This tutorial doesn't assume any existing React knowledge, right? So let's go ahead and let's do this first tutorial so we can get everything set up. We know that it's working. Okay. Into several sections, setup, overview, completing the game, and adding time travel. Okay. So this is going to be a tic-tac-toe game. I've done it before, that's why I know what it is without reading all of it. Okay, set up option 1, write code in the browser. This is the quickest way to get started, but we want a local development environment. So let's see what else we have. Inspecting data through loops. Let's go ahead and here we go. Here is the instructions for getting React started. Okay, requires more work but allows you to complete the tutorial using an editor of your choice so that you can actually keep it. We want projects that are persisted on our computer so that we can actually put them somewhere afterwards. So first we need this recent version of Node.js. And so here you go, you click on that. Download for Windows, recommended for most users, and there is some latest features. Let's go ahead and get recommended for most users. You know, there's some cool features, but we don't want to have to worry about some of the issues coming with this as well. This is a stable version. It's been tested tons of times by so many people, and most of the bugs have been fixed. This is something that's, it is the latest version, the newest, coolest, hottest. You can get this. Things that we're doing probably won't have any problems with this, but using versions like this, you're kind of the beta tester. You're the one that has to figure out workarounds. So there we go, finally showed up. Please wait while the setup wizard prepares migrating feature states. Go ahead, click next, accept. Now I personally like to scroll through these. Not that I don't trust nodejs.org, but a lot of times there is hidden little checkboxes for adding extra third-party on your machine that you don't necessarily want. It's all up to you if you want to look through them or not, but I do personally look through them. Go ahead and say next and install. So yep, once this gets done, let's go back, since that's already running. Follow the installation instruction for create React app. So we'll open this up. Let's go ahead and read a little bit here. Okay. It's a comfortable environment for learning React and is the best way to start building a new single-page application in React, and that's what we want, is a single-page application, right? It sets up your development environment, and basically, so Create React App was developed by Facebook, I believe 2017, without going in and looking at the history. It does some package management for you, okay? So if we go back over here, we have this npm. This stands for Node Package Manager, and then we install this Create React app. And the reason why is there's also Babel and some other package managers that help you have extra features loaded into your project. And Create React app is the fast way to do that. You can still add extra things afterwards, so don't worry about that. It's just to get things up and running as fast as possible without the headache. So it's very good for someone who doesn't have a lot of experience setting up every single environment, working with your package.json, stuff like that. It's going to do a lot of that for you. That way you can actually just get into the programming. So like it says right here, it doesn't handle backend logic or databases. It just creates a front-end build pipeline so you can use it with any backend you want. Under the hood, it uses Babel and Webpack, but you don't need to know anything about them at all, okay? They're cool things. Go ahead, click on the links, learn about them. This shows you exactly how everything works. It keeps everything in here. It gets bundled here and then put out over here. So you can just write code like this. There's custom webpack.config files, stuff like that we're not going to want to really deal with here. Here's Babel. Spend their free time maintaining this project. If Babel has benefited you in your work, becoming a contributor might be a great way to give back. So if you want to get started contributing, go for it. You know, it's always good to support those people who are spending their time to help others, right? So here we have that. Let's see what happened. I believe it was completely installed. So let's go back here. We downloaded, we installed, we can get rid of that. Don't need Webpack or Babel up. If you're learning React or creating a new single page app, use this. If you're building a server rendered website with Node.js, try next.js. Static content oriented website, try Gatsby. Component library or integrating with an existing code base, try more flexible tool chains. So we are going to do a new single page app while learning React, right? So that's the option for us. It's a comfortable environment for learning React, and it's the best way to start building a new single page. It sets up for the development environment. So what we need to do is we need to go into our command line. We need to go into our project. So let's go in, open up a command line. If you don't know how to do this, you can come here, type CMD, and I'll bring it up for you. Or hold your Windows key down and press R, brings that up, type CMD, it'll bring up your command line. Okay, if you're not too familiar with this, you don't need to know too much about it, but I would suggest getting comfortable with some some navigation abilities inside your command line. CD stands for change directory. Now what we want to do is we want to go to my tutorials folder right here. So we'll just copy that, paste it here, and that did not work. So let's go ahead, ls, look up. Oh, sorry, I've been on Linux for a little bit of time now. I thought that worked in both. Slash, double slash. Well, see, again, Google's our best friend. Change. To access another drive, type that letter's drive followed by a colon. That was kind of weird. For instance, interesting. So if I just type E colon, it gets me straight over there. Okay. We will take it. From here, We want both of these up, so I'm going to pull this over to the side and this right there. Make sure you have a recent version of Node.js installed. We just installed one. So now we need to follow this. So we want to come over here. We're in the folder we want to be in, which is my tutorials folder. npx create -react app. Let's call it my app, just like they have it. Cannot read property get of undefined. Operation not permitted. Well, that's again why we have Google, right? eperm : operation not permitted mkdir. Let's see what we get. Here's their output. Looks like a bug in npm itself. So it says it's an npm error according to these people. Escape prefix path on Windows. So well, let's look a little bit more. React app. Let's see what we get here. Now we want npx. Same error, right? Let's try that. npm cache clean force sure hope you know what you're doing. I hope I know what I'm doing as well. Create -react. Let's try that command again, the npx create. Let's see what we get. Same thing. Let's try that command. That didn't work, so let's try the whole thing together. Paste, enter, let's see what we get. Does not accept arguments. A complete log of this run can be found. Well, we're not in Linux, so we don't need sudo. Windows. Personally, I believe it has to do with our changing of drives, because we're trying to do this in E drive, and npm was most likely installed on the C drive. Not permitted, and C drive users Thomas. And all of this C drive, C drive, C drive, C drive. Let's see, node. Control C node dash V. We got node running, right? Dash V gives us our version. We're on 8.12.0. npm ls react. It says empty, just like that, doesn't it? So guys, these are things you are going to run into a lot of times, right? And that's why I'm not pausing this. A lot of times you're going to see videos, you're going to see tutorials that don't have problems come up. Well, problems happen all the time, and we need to know how to fix them, don't we? Because if you don't fix them, and you don't learn how to fix them, you aren't going to be able to actually code. This is part of the issue, and this is why people post things, which is good for us, is so we can fix them ourselves. Let's just try this. npm install create React app. We might not have had it installed. That could also be an issue, couldn't it? So that is now on there. Let's try it one more time. npx create React app, my app. Let's see what we get. Looks like that worked. So you guys, little lesson learned. We have to install so we installed Node. We did not install the Create React app, which we install through the Node package manager. It's a package inside Node. Okay. Sometimes just trial and error. You know, this didn't work, so let's go back to our first one, right, and see what we get. Well, we get it, and it is installing now. Looks like we didn't have the issues that I thought we had. Which, again, this happens all the time. It's going to happen no matter how many years you've coded, no matter how many times you've done the exact same thing. Sometimes problems arise, and you just have to problem solve. Try something until it works, right? Hopefully you don't break more things in the process. And this is about halfway done. So what do we do after that? And change directory, start the Node Package Manager, which is basically our backend server that reads Node itself and helps us. So we're not too worried about this after that. So we can go back over to here. So we did this. The next line of code we're going to have to do once it's done is this line, create React app, my app. That actually creates it. So I went ahead and copied. That way, once this is done, and as you see it takes a long time, but once it's done we can proceed from there. So I'll go ahead and pause it until it's done. Okay, you guys, that finally finished installing. So as we see, we ran it right here. Create React app, my app. Installing packages. Success, created my app at eDrive tutorials, my app. Inside the directory you can run several commands: npm start, run build, test, run eject. We suggest that you begin by typing change directory to that directory. Well, let's do that, because guess what? Oh, did we do that all together? Hold on. Yep, we definitely did. We installed the create React app, and then we said create React app, my app. So let's just go ahead, change directories to my app. So that means we already did this line of code. I just forgot about it. Now, delete all the files in the source folder. Typically you don't need to do this, so before we do that, go ahead and close all of those. Let's open that in an entirely different project. Why, you might ask? Well, I didn't want to see everything else that wasn't related to this specific project. So, if we deleted everything like it tells us to do, source / means everything inside this source folder. Well, why? There's an app.css. This gives us some basic React CSS that's going on. Here's the app.jss, which we will need one, but they do it a little bit differently for this tutorial. Here's the app.test, index. Here's the logo. So if we just ran this how it is, let's go ahead and skip that line of code. Let's go back over to here, npm start, and then we go back over here, brings it up for us automatically, which is a nice feature of the npm start. We get this already. Okay, this is their little logo. This is a React logo. Welcome to React. To get started, we can see that in the code already. To get started, edit source apps.js here's the welcome to React. Here's the logo. But for these purposes, for what they want us to do, is we are going to delete everything in this file. So let's go ahead and exit this. Control C is what will terminate. Go ahead and say yes. Now we're back here. So let's go ahead and do what they want. rm for remove dash F for folder slash source slash star. So basically, that should have worked just like they wanted. We switched over to my app. Maybe I had a space. Let's go ahead and copy. Nope. So let's go ahead and Google one more time. Windows, command line, remove all files and directory. That definitely works on Linux, just so you know. I don't usually do this in the command line too often. What we could do is come here. Let's just go ahead and do that. Then we don't have to worry about the command line, right? We still want our source file. We just want to get rid of everything that was in that. So we should be okay now. Add a file named index.css in the source file. So let's go ahead and open this up again. This does not like to. We'll just move it over to here, okay? So we don't need this gone. Don't save. We're going to right click, new file, just like they want us to do. Index.css. Now it says with this source code. So we come here, Control A, copy, cut and paste all of that and save it. Then we can go back. Where did we go? Let's go forward again. Nope. That's because we had the optional instructions up. That's why, you guys. So lesson learned. Let's right click, open link. Do exactly like they wanted us to do again. New file. Index.js. Copy all of this, paste it here, and save it. And the very last thing, add these 3 lines to the top of the index.js. Go ahead and copy these. Save it. Now if you say npm start and open this 3000, you should see an empty tic-tac-toe field. So once we get this running, let's go ahead and stop that. npm start. Only reason because once we get this running, we know that we have React up, and I don't want to keep this video too long. We'll just try and keep it right at an hour. So here we go, just like it said. Here's an empty tic-tac-toe field. It doesn't do anything. We can't click on any of these fields. It says next player X. And the reason it says these things is because, as you see right here, and we will cover this a little bit further, here's this constant status, next player X, which goes right here. Here's the rendering of the board. First 3, second 3, this is the third row. Here's the game. So you'll see we have 3 different classes in here, and we'll cover those a little bit further later on. And here is the CSS. So you can see there's actually not tons of CSS in here, but there is definitely quite a bit of CSS that we're not used to, aren't we? That's why, if you want to learn some more CSS, go ahead, do those tutorials again. It's helpful. It definitely is helpful to know CSS. Even if you want to be a completely back-end heavy developer, sometimes you still need to know your CSS. It comes in handy. You don't need to be the best at it. Leave those to the front-end developers who are only doing CSS. Personally, I don't like myself to do a lot of this CSS because it can get complicated. But it is very helpful to know. I personally think it's harder to get all of this CSS exactly how it should be than it is to write the backend code. So take that for what it's worth. That's just my opinion. Obviously, once you get super good at CSS, and there are some front-end tools to help you to make this much, much easier. But we'll leave it at that. We got our React actually working so we can build a project. Again, this is what we're going to build. Is we're going to have an about page, we're going to have a projects, and I'm not sure if we'll have this links yet, but I can link it to my YouTube channel, right? So I can put the link there. If you have a blog, you can put the link for your blog, things like that. So yeah, from there, we're going to create it where our project, we can scroll through each of the projects and have it actually, we're going to have a fully functional project. And then once you hit the next arrow, it'll bring up the next project completely from scratch without any leftovers from the previous project. The nice thing about React is we don't have to worry about reloading this part at all. That's already there. We don't have to worry about reloading anything like this. We can literally just wipe the slate clean. Wipe the slate clean. And then we can put in another one. Just like I did there, that's literally what we're going to be doing inside of the code. This is how we will be using React. Is we can keep everything else the same. Doesn't really matter anything else. We can literally just wipe the slate clean and put in our next project. So join me next time and we will actually create this tic-tac-toe game. Shouldn't take us too long. I imagine from these instructions and last time I did it, it should probably only take us about 30 minutes. So we will do that. If you want to, again, do it on your own, go for it. There's this reactjs.org is where you're going to go to first. And go ahead and click on the tutorial. They only have one basic tutorial from what I can see. I haven't delved into their site too much. But set up the tutorial will give you a starting point to follow. We'll teach you the fundamentals of React, components, props, and state. And then completing the game will teach you the most common techniques in React development itself. That's why we're going to do this game. And then this will give us a deeper insight into the unique strengths of React. So there we have it. Go ahead and join me next time.